The stars above Earth were quiet. No alarms, no lights, just silence. Far above the blue planet, a sleek silver ship floated, invisible to the human eye. It belonged to the Xeric Empire, one of the most powerful alien civilizations in the galaxy. Their goal was simple: observe the humans, study their progress, and decide if they were ready to join the galactic community. Inside the ship, Commander Torin stood in front of a large screen, staring at the peaceful planet below. His long, violet fingers tapped lightly on the console. "Primitive, but beautiful," he said quietly. His second-in-command, Lyrics, nodded. "They still use fossil fuels, Commander. Their planet is wounded. We must be careful." Torin smiled. "They're not a threat. We've watched many young species like this. Humans will be easy to understand." The crew relaxed. Some began preparing probes. Others checked the cloaking systems. Earth's defense networks were outdated compared to the galaxy's advanced machines. There was no fear. But then, without warning, a red light flashed on the screen. "Alert. System breach." Everyone jumped. Torin's eyes narrowed. "That's not possible. Our system is Xerac military grade. No one has ever broken into it." The computer repeated, "Breach detected. External source, Earth-based signal, human origin." For a moment, silence filled the room. "How can that be?" Lyrics whispered. "Their satellites can't even reach Mars." Torin's calm broke. "Trace the signal. Find out how they got in." The crew worked quickly. Within seconds, the source was located. Not from a government building, not from a military base, but from a small private lab in northern Canada. Torin stared at the screen. "A single lab? Hacked our systems?" He gave the order. "Prepare. Landing team. We're going in." The Xerac ship moved slowly, descending through Earth's atmosphere. It was invisible to radar, but still, as it neared the surface, it felt watched. The ship landed silently in the middle of a snow-covered forest. Tall trees surrounded them. Everything was calm, too calm. The hatch opened, and 3 Xerac soldiers, including Torin, stepped out. Their suits adapted to the cold air. Instantly, no humans in sight, no movement, until a voice came from the trees. "You're not as quiet as you think." A woman stepped forward. She wasn't armed. She wasn't afraid. She wore a long black coat and glasses. Her hair blew slightly in the cold wind. "I'm Dr. Elena Cross," she said. "Welcome to Earth." The Xeric soldiers raised their weapons, but Torin signaled them to stop. He stepped forward. "You knew we were coming?" She smiled. "Of course. Earth has been watching your kind for years." Turan's heart raced. "That's impossible." Dr. Elena raised a small device in her hand. It showed a live feed of their own ship from above. The camera was Earth-made. The signal was Earth-generated. "You're not the first aliens to visit," she said. But most didn't leave. Torin felt something he had never felt before. Fear. "Why haven't we heard about this? No records in the galaxy mention Earth as dangerous." Dr. Elena stepped closer. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. "Because the ones who came didn't survive to tell the story." Behind her, strange drones floated into view, silent, fast, and unlike any Xerac technology. They surrounded the soldiers but did not attack. Lyrics whispered, "This planet. It's hiding something." Dr. Elena nodded. "We never showed our true power. We watched the stars and waited. While the galaxy grew proud, Earth grew silent and smart." Torin realized they had made a mistake. A terrible mistake. Earth was not a child of the stars. It was a sleeping beast. Back in the ship, alarms continued to flash. More systems were being scanned by unknown codes. Somehow, Earth's technology, simple on the surface, was learning from them in real time. Torin turned to Elena. "Why didn't you contact the galaxy? Join us?" she replied. "Because peace isn't real out there. Every alliance ends in control. Earth chose to stay quiet until now." As the sun began to rise over the trees, Torin looked up at the sky. For the first time in his life, he wasn't sure his people were the superior ones. The humans were different. Not just smart, not just strong, but dangerous in a way the galaxy had never seen, and they were ready. Torin's boots crunched on the snow as he followed Dr. Elena through the quiet forest. The cold air didn't bother him, but something else did. The silence. It wasn't natural. It was controlled. Like the forest itself was watching them. The floating drones around them made no sound. Sleek, fast, and perfectly balanced, they hovered like shadows. They looked small, but their targeting lenses tracked every movement with precision. "Are these military drones?" Torin asked, breaking the silence. Dr. Elena smiled without looking back. "No, these were built by university students, and they're only version 1. Torin glanced at Lyrics, who looked confused and uneasy. A student-made drone network could track elite alien soldiers? Something was deeply wrong. They reached a clearing. In the center stood a modern steel building, small, quiet, almost invisible in the snow. It didn't look dangerous, but inside, it held a secret Earth had kept from the galaxy for years. Dr. Elena scanned her hand at the entrance, and the doors slid open. "Welcome to Shadow Protocol Control Hub," she said. "Earth's real defense system." Inside, the lights were dim, the walls lined with blinking monitors. Screens showed satellite feeds, deep-sea radar, and a rotating 3D model of Earth. In the center, a transparent console displayed live data, including their alien ship's movements, heat signature, and even private communication logs. Torin's eyes widened. "You're tracking our encrypted channels?" Dr. Elena nodded. "We don't break encryption. We learn it." A young man walked over to her. He wore a hoodie and had messy hair. He gave Torin a short wave and said, "Your language." Translator was easy to patch. Cute code, old but clever. Torin stared. "Who are you?" The man smiled. "Eric, 19. Dropout. I do this for fun." Lyric stepped forward, alarmed. "You let children handle alien tech?" Dr. Elena turned serious. "No, we let geniuses handle it. You see, your empire trains soldiers for years. We raise minds that can outthink your entire system in weeks." She tapped a screen, and it showed a chart of all alien activity within Earth's solar system over the last 50 years. Many dots appeared. Scouts, probes, even crash sites. Each one had been recorded, tracked, and silently eliminated. Torin whispered, "You've been watching us this whole time?" Elena responded softly, "Longer than you think." Back in orbit, the Xeric ship started glitching. The navigation system kept resetting. Heat levels rose. The main engine lost 20% output. Xeric soldiers on board began to panic. Commander Torin's communication device buzzed. A voice from the ship said, "Commander, we're under attack," but no weapons fired. "It's digital warfare. They're inside the ship." Dr. Elena looked at him calmly. "Don't worry. We won't destroy your ship. Not unless we have to. We just want you to understand." Torin gritted his teeth. "This is a threat." "No," she said. "This is a lesson. You don't walk into someone's home invisible and call it peace." They walked deeper into the building, passing large black panels and humming machines. One room caught Torin's attention. A large display showed alien species across the galaxy, with color-coded ratings next to each. Green for peaceful, yellow for unstable, red for hostile. The Xeric Empire was marked orange, dangerous but manageable. Beside it was another label: Humanity, classification, unknown, status, unpredictable, avoid direct contact. Torin's voice was low. "You labeled yourselves as unpredictable?" Elena nodded. "Because we are. We're capable of great kindness and terrifying destruction. It depends on how we're treated." She pressed a button, and a video began playing. It showed a battle, not from the stars, but Earth's past. Cities burned, bombs fell, soldiers marched. Then it shifted to images of space programs, AI labs, and quantum computers. "You see death," she said. "We see evolution." Back in the ship, the crew tried to shut down the hack, but failed. Their own ship now ran smoother than before. Earth systems had improved it, left a message in their logs. "We could have destroyed you. Instead, we upgraded you. Now think about that." Torin looked at Elena, finally understanding. "You knew we'd come, and you let us." "Why?" Dr. Elena walked to the window and stared at the rising sun. "Because one day someone from the stars would try to control Earth. We had to be ready. Shadow Protocol doesn't just defend us. It teaches us." Torin asked, "What does it teach?" She looked him in the eyes. "It teaches us how to survive monsters, even the ones that wear a smile." As the Xerac crew struggled to understand what they had walked into, Commander Torin stood in silence. The peaceful blue planet he had once looked down on now seemed like a sleeping predator. Earth wasn't waiting for peace. Earth was waiting for a reason. Commander Torin stood still, but his mind was spinning. How could a species that seemed so young know so much? How could Earth, a planet ignored by the galaxy, be hiding such intelligence, such quiet power? Dr. Elena led Torin and Lyrix into a new room. It was colder, darker, and filled with old machines, blinking softly in the shadows. At the center stood a tall glass capsule. Inside it, a glowing cube floated, humming gently. "This," Elena said, "is the heart of Shadow Protocol, and its name is Project Cerberus." Torin stepped closer. The cube was simple in shape, but he could feel its energy. It wasn't just a machine, it was alive. In its own way. Elena continued. 50 years ago, humans captured the remains of a small alien probe, not yours, an older one, from a distant empire long forgotten. We didn't panic. We didn't announce it. We studied it. In silence. Lyrics frowned. But Earth had no space program back then. How could you understand alien tech? Elena turned to her with a calm smile. We didn't understand it, but we wanted to. And wanting was enough. That desire to know, to survive, to protect, that's what made us dangerous. The lights dimmed. A large screen turned on, showing a series of old black and white videos. One clip showed a human pilot breaking the sound barrier. Another showed the launch of a rocket into space. Then came images of wars, cities burning, people running, nuclear tests lighting up the sky. Torin watched, shocked. You destroyed your own world? Elena nodded slowly. Yes, many times. But every time we broke it, we rebuilt it. Stronger, smarter. Not because we wanted power, but because we refused to stay weak. She tapped the screen again. A new video played. It showed a secret underground lab, full of cables, screens, and armed guards. Scientists walked around, checking systems. A voice narrated in English. Project Cerberus, Earth's last defense. An AI system designed to detect, learn, and evolve. It watches the skies. It studies alien threats. And when the time comes, it decides how we respond. Torin asked, and who controls it? No one, Elena answered. It's not made to follow orders. It's made to protect. Lyric stepped back, uneasy. An AI without control? That's dangerous. Elena looked her straight in the eye. So are we. Outside the lab, the sun rose higher. A soft breeze moved the trees, but inside the shadow, protocol facility, the mood was tense. Torin realized now why the galaxy had never heard of Earth's defenses. The ones who came before, the curious, the greedy, the proud, never made it back. They were either captured, neutralized, or quietly erased. Why didn't you warn the galaxy? Torin asked. Why keep it all secret? Elena paused for a moment before replying. Because we listened. We intercepted alien messages. We saw how your empires treated young worlds. First, they talk about peace. Then they bring gifts. Then, they bring chains. Torin looked ashamed. He couldn't deny it. The Zarak Empire had done exactly that to dozens of planets. You feared us, he said quietly. No, Elena corrected. We respected the weight, danger, and we prepared. Back in orbit, the crew aboard the Zarak ship were growing desperate. The systems were still under human influence. Earth hadn't shut them down, but made it clear they could. A message flashed on every screen. We're watching. Don't try anything foolish, Zarak soldiers began whispering. What kind of species are these humans? No one had an answer. Inside the base, Elena showed Torin a final file, a secret document labeled Protocol Titan. She didn't say a word. She let him read. Torin's eyes moved quickly across the screen. His face changed. His jaw tightened. It was a plan, not just to protect Earth, but to strike back if needed. A list of every known alien empire, their weaknesses, ship, designs, battle formations, all gathered from years of silent listening. "You planned for war?" he said. "We planned for truth," Elena replied. "And the truth is, the galaxy was never ready for humans." Torin stepped back, stunned. All this time, they believed Earth was a small, growing world. But in truth, it was a planet of survivors, shaped by war, guided by pain, and ready for anything. He looked at Elena one last time. "What happens now?" She answered calmly. "That depends on you. You can leave and tell your people the truth, or stay and find out what happens when you don't." As Turan and Lyrix returned to their ship, one thing was clear. They hadn't visited a harmless world. They had woken a sleeping predator. And now, the galaxy would never be the same. Commander Torin sat in the main control room of the Xerox ship, staring at the planet below. His heart was heavy. Everything he believed about Earth had been proven wrong. They were not simple, not weak, not innocent. They were something else, something the galaxy had never faced before. His thoughts were broken by a voice from the ship's speakers. "Commander, you are requested to return to Earth's surface. The humans want to show you something." Lyrix looked nervous. "Do you think it's safe?" Torin shook his head. "No, but we need to understand what we're dealing with." Back on Earth, Torin and Lyrix landed near a wide open field. The sun was high and the grass waved gently in. The wind. A small group of humans stood nearby. Soldiers? Scientists? It wasn't clear. All wore calm faces. Dr. Elena waited in the middle, her arms crossed. "Thank you for coming back," she said. Torin nodded. "What is this place?" "A test site," she replied. "You've seen our systems, our machines, but you haven't seen us." Before Torin could ask more, a tall man walked onto the field. He wore simple clothes, black pants, a tight shirt, and boots. No armor, no visible weapons. "This is Raiden," Elena said. "Former soldier, human. No genetic upgrades, no implants." Lyrix whispered. "He looks normal." "That's the point," Elena said with a smile. "Watch." A Xerox combat drone flew onto the field. It was large, armed, and fast, designed for war, built to crush enemies. Raiden stood still, arms at his sides. The drone locked on and fired a stun pulse. But Raiden was already gone. In one blink, he was 10 feet away, running at full speed. The poor drone adjusted and shot again. A deadly burst of plasma. Raiden dropped, rolled, and threw a metal disc that sliced through the drone's wing. The machine twisted, lost balance, and crashed into the ground. Before it could recover, Raiden sprinted forward and punched the core unit, breaking it apart with his bare hand. Torin and Lyrix froze. Elena said softly, "That drone model is used in your Empire's elite forces." Torin turned to her. "How is he so fast?" She replied, "Training, pain, and the human will to survive." More drones appeared, 3 this time. They moved together, surrounding Raiden. He didn't run. He smiled. One flew straight at him. Raiden jumped, flipping over it and kicked it down midair. It exploded on impact. The second launched a net. Raiden spun, caught the net in one hand, and swung it around, wrapping the third drone with it before slamming it to the ground. Within seconds, all 3 drones were destroyed. That. Field went silent. Torin couldn't speak. Lyrics whispered, "This is impossible." "He's just one man." Elena turned to them. "Yes, one man. But he represents millions. Humans aren't born strong. They become strong. Through struggle." Dr. Elena led them to the side of the field where Raiden stood, catching his breath. His arms were bruised, his hands were bleeding, but his face showed no fear, only calm. Torin stepped forward. "Why do you fight like this?" Raiden looked at him and answered, "Because if I don't, someone else has to. We fight so others don't have to." Torin was stunned. This wasn't just power, it was purpose. Elena added, "You see, strength in the galaxy often comes from comfort. But on Earth, it comes from pain. Our strongest are not the ones with the best tools. They are the ones who have lost the most." Lyrics asked, "You train your people like this?" "Not all," Elena said. "Only a few. But when Earth is in danger, a few are enough." Suddenly, Torin's communicator buzzed again. "Commander, new readings from deep space. Several. Listening posts across your empire have gone dark. Unknown source." Elena's voice turned serious. "That's not us. But this is what you need to understand." She pointed to the sky. "There are darker threats out there. And when they come, you'll wish Earth is on your side, not your enemy." Torin looked around. The silent drones, the calm humans, and the powerful warrior standing with broken fists and steady eyes. He realized something deep. Earth didn't need fleets. It didn't need empires. It had humans. And sometimes, that was more terrifying than any machine. Commander Toran sat alone inside his ship's quiet observation deck. Earth slowly turned below, calm and blue. But inside him, nothing felt calm. The memory of Raiden fighting, bare hands against war drones, replayed in his mind. He had seen warriors before, strong ones from across the galaxy. But nothing like that. Torin had trained his whole life in the Xerac military. Discipline, honor, power. Those were the things his empire taught him. And yet, one human soldier had destroyed everything he thought he knew. Lyrics walked in, her face pale. She carried a datapad and sat beside him. "We've received a message from High Command," she said quietly. Torin didn't respond. "They're asking for a full report," Lyrics continued. "They want to know if Earth is ready to be contacted again. They're still considering an alliance, or an invasion." At the word invasion, Torin's hands clenched. "Elena was right," he said, his voice low. "They always smile first, then plan control." Lyrics frowned. "But Torin, we are Xerac. We've brought order to dozens of worlds. Maybe Earth needs that too." "No," he said firmly. "Earth doesn't need us. We need them." He stood and walked over to a console. A silent screen showed multiple files, recordings of Raiden's fight, conversations with Elena, and footage of Earth's hidden defense systems. He stared at one file, Protocol Titan. He hadn't told Lyrics about it. The galaxy didn't know the real plan Earth had. Torin opened the file again, reading slowly. It was a list of alien civilizations, including the Xeric Empire. Each entry had full details: weapon strength, weaknesses, fleet layouts, and political systems. Earth didn't just prepare for visitors. They prepared for war, and not just to defend, to end the enemy if they had to. Lyrics watched him, confused. "Why are you hesitating? You've always followed orders." Torin turned toward her, pain in his eyes. "Because this time, the order may cause the death of millions." She stayed silent. He added, "If we lie in our report and say Earth is harmless, the Empire will try to take it. If we tell the truth, maybe they'll listen," Lyrics asked. "And if they don't? Then we'll become another file in Earth's database. Another failed empire." Later that night, Torin walked through the human facility alone. Elena allowed him to move freely as a sign of trust. He entered a room lined with holograms. On the wall were faces, not soldiers, not scientists, just ordinary people. "Who are they?" he asked as Elena stepped in behind him. "Heroes," she said. "People who never made it to the front pages but saved lives when no one noticed." Torin looked at a picture of an old man in a coat, smiling. What did he do? He gave food to hungry strangers every winter for 30 years. Saved hundreds during a blackout. Died quietly in his sleep. Torin looked at her. "Why show me this?" Elena replied gently. "Because humans are not just what you saw on the battlefield. We're full of pain, yes, but also full of love. That's what makes us dangerous. We can cry and fight. We can break and rebuild. And when the time comes, we never back down." That night, Torin couldn't sleep. He sat at the edge of his bed, staring at the stars through a small window. He thought about his people, his training, and all the young soldiers waiting for his command. He thought about Earth, and he felt fear. Not fear of death, but fear of what might happen if the galaxy kept pushing Earth. The next morning, Torin gathered his crew. "I'm going back to the Empire," he said. Alone. Lyric stood. "What about us?" "You'll stay here. Learn more. Talk to them. If anything changes, contact me. But what will you tell the Council?" Torin's eyes were cold and clear. "I'll tell them the truth. That Earth is not ready to join, and the galaxy is not ready to fight." As his small ship rose from Earth's surface, he looked back one last time. This world, full of history, pain, and strength, had changed him. It had opened his eyes. Earth wasn't a peaceful garden, and it wasn't a battlefield. It was both, and that made it the most dangerous place in the galaxy. Commander Torin's ship pierced through the stars, heading home at full speed. The journey to the Galactic Council headquarters took 2 days, but for Torin, each hour felt heavy. Every second was a reminder of what he had seen on Earth, what he now had to explain. He replayed the files again and again. Raiden's fight. Project Cerberus. Protocol Titan. Elena's warning. Would the council believe him? He wasn't sure. The Galactic Council was a massive structure floating in neutral space. Dozens of alien species from across the galaxy gathered there. Leaders, scientists, warriors, and diplomats. When Torin entered the Grand Hall, all eyes turned to him. The High Chancellor, a tall creature with 4 glowing eyes and silver skin, stood at the center. Torin of the Xerac Empire, the Chancellor said. We expected you days ago. I bring serious news, Torin replied. About Earth. The council members shifted. Some leaned forward with interest. Others laughed quietly. One senator, a scaled alien from the Kuranak system, spoke first. That? Small blue planet? Are they even worth our time? Torin stepped forward. They're more than worth your time. They're the most dangerous species we've ever encountered. Gasps echoed in the chamber. A few counselors exchanged confused glances. Others smiled like it was a joke. Torin raised his hand. A floating screen appeared above the hall, showing recordings from Earth. The first clip showed the hacking of the Xerac ship by Earth's Shadow Protocol. Then came the fight. Raiden versus elite drones. And finally, the most terrifying video. Protocol Titan, Earth's plan for galactic invasion response. The room fell silent. No one laughed now. A robotic diplomat from the Zoroth Empire leaned in. These files, are they real? Yes, Torin said. Earth is far more advanced than they pretend to be, and they're prepared for war. The High Chancellor narrowed his eyes. So why haven't they attacked? Why hide for so long? Because they don't want to conquer, Torin said. They want to survive. They stayed silent because they don't trust us. Another voice came, this time sharp and loud. It belonged to Admiral Chorus, a war general from a militant world. We should strike now. Take Earth before they become a threat to the stars. Torin's voice rose. That would be a mistake. Chorus crossed his arms. They are just humans. No, Turan said firmly. They are more than that. They are pain, power, and memory combined. Their soldiers bleed without fear. Their minds build faster than any we've seen, and when you threaten their home, they become unstoppable. The council buzzed with noise. Some agreed, some didn't. One elder asked, "What if we send an invitation for peace?" Torin shook his head. You already did, years ago. They ignored it. Then why meet you now? He looked up at them. Because they wanted one of us to see and choose what to do next. The High Chancellor called for silence. He looked at Torin. And what do you suggest? Torin's answer was simple. Leave them alone. Let them grow in peace, or welcome them with truth and respect. But do not lie, do not invade, and do not test them. Admiral Chorus slammed the table. You sound afraid. Turan turned to him and said calmly, Because I am. You should be too. The council ended in chaos. Some races supported Turan's warning. Others ignored it, too proud to believe humans could be a real threat. But before Torin left the hall, a small screen on his wrist lit up, a message from Earth. It read, We saw your speech. We saw who believed you, and we saw who didn't. Below the text, a file was attached. It was a full scan of the council chamber, from Earth's satellites. They had been watching. even now. Torin closed his eyes. They had just sent a message to the galaxy. We're not hiding anymore. Later, the High Chancellor met Torin in private. I believe you, he said. But belief alone isn't enough. The others want proof. Torin placed a chip on the table. This holds everything. Let them see. The Chancellor nodded. And if they don't? Torin stood up, looked out at the stars, and replied, Then the galaxy will learn the hard way. What happens when you wake a world that trained in silence and bleeds fire? The Galactic Council was no longer calm. Torin's warning had shaken the chambers. Some believed him. Others mocked him. But one thing was certain. Earth was no longer a forgotten planet. Back in his quarters, Torin sat beside the window, watching the stars. His thoughts were heavy. He had done his duty. He had spoken the truth. But truth didn't always win. Just then, his wrist communicator lit up again. Another message from Earth. It said, They didn't listen, did they? Torin sighed. He tapped a response. Some did, most didn't. A moment later, another message appeared. Then we must show them. Across the galaxy, something began to happen. One by one, hidden Earth satellites came online. These weren't in Earth's orbit. They were scattered across space, disguised as debris, small moons, and even mining stations. Now they began to glow. Every major empire, Zirak, Karanak, Zoroth, and others, received the same message. This is Earth. You laughed. You ignored. Now you will witness. On each empire's capital screen, a live feed appeared. It showed a massive asteroid hurling toward a nearby moon. No one knew where it came from. Then Earth's voice spoke. Again, this moon is empty. No life, no cities, but watch carefully. A single beam of light shot down from somewhere in space, not from a ship, not from a base, from a weapon hidden within the asteroid belt. The beam hit the asteroid, breaking it apart in seconds. Dust and fire scattered. The moon was untouched. The message continued. We are not attacking. We are showing. If we can do this from millions of kilometers away, imagine what we can do when we're near. Panic spread through military channels. Commanders across empires gave orders to scan their skies, find Earth's hidden weapons, but they found nothing. Torin watched as his own officers scrambled to respond. They have systems even we can't. Detect, one whispered. Another said, we need to prepare for war. But Torin stood tall. No, we need to prepare for peace. In a quiet room back on Earth, Dr. Elena watched the reactions through her control center. Raiden stood behind her, arms crossed. Was this the right move? He asked. Elena didn't answer at first. Then she said, They only understand strength. We gave them a chance to listen. Now we're giving them a reason. Raiden nodded. Some will still attack. Then they will disappear. Back at the Galactic Council, emergency meetings were called. Admiral Chorus, still angry, shouted, We can't let Earth scare us into silence. But others disagreed. A counselor from a peaceful world stood and said, They didn't attack us. They warned us, and that warning saved lives. The High Chancellor spoke last. It is clear now. Earth is not weak. Earth is not foolish. Earth is ready. He looked at Torin. Thank you for your truth. Without it, we may have chosen destruction. Torin returned to Earth days later. He walked into the Shadow Protocol facility once again. Elena greeted him with a calm smile. "You came back." He nodded. They listened. Not all, but enough. She seemed relieved. "So, what now?" he asked. Elena walked to the window and looked up at the stars. "Now, we wait. And we watch. Just like before." Torin looked out too. The stars no longer felt the same. Not empty, not peaceful, but alive with danger and hope, and somewhere in the middle of it all was Earth. As Torin prepared to leave, he turned to Elena. "One last question," he said. "If someone still decides to invade, what will Earth do?" She smiled gently. "We'll do what humans have always done. We'll survive. We'll fight. And when it's over, the stars will remember who we are." And so the galaxy changed. Forever. A quiet blue planet was no longer seen as a child among giants. It was a giant hiding in silence, and the next time someone asked, "Who is the deadliest species in the galaxy?" they would all answer the same: the humans.